everybody, my name is Cheri. Welcome to my stamp studio. I'm going to show you a sneak peek today of items that will be available starting November 4th. They're also tied in with my card club, so I will show you those. But before, I'm not completely done with Christmas. I have another card with this set. I have some packaging, and then I'm going to take it. I know there's a couple of sets that I bought that I haven't used enough, so I'm going to try to get to those, but it will be interspersed in November with Christmas and then with all the new products that you'll be able to see on November 4th. If you're on my email, when you get, you would have already gotten the email about club, and that one and the next couple after that will have the download, so you can download the flyer for all of the new online exclusives. So if you're not on my email list, hop over to my website and you can subscribe there. So here are just a few ideas of cards if you haven't done your Christmas ones. These are both on my website, so you can go look at those. And then with the, oh my goodness, it's like Brushed with Beauty. I can't remember the name of the new suite. With the Brushed with Beauty suite, you can buy a class from Stampin' Up. You don't have to buy the stuff to complete the projects. Obviously you would need it, but I wanted to let you know because that is the paper that you're getting this month and a lot of the suite items. So if you're interested in taking an online class with Stampin' Up, you simply pay for the class, and then it's live on the day they do it. I didn't take last month's, but if you miss it, then it is on a Facebook group and on YouTube. I think you get a private link, so you can go watch it if you can't catch it live. So that is with Brushed with Beauty. Again, if you're on my email list, I will start having the little sign up button for you there if you want to purchase that from Stampin' Up. And I've had a couple of people ask, because they're like, we want to take your classes. And they ask what the benefit is if you take Stampin' Up's classes. So it's a product. So I think it was $30 last month. I don't know how much it is this time. So it would be no different than you purchasing a $30. I love the loyalty, but don't feel like you can't purchase from Stampin' Up, and I will still get credit for that. So I just wanted to touch that. Then I had an online class. So I just wanted to show you, it was Traditions of Christmas, and I put these in here so I would remember to tell you about the online class. That is past, but it's kind of stuff. I heard that the one that Stampin' Up did was not just beginners, that there was stuff if you've stamped for a long while. This is my October card club. So if you're interested in my online card club, then go check this out. This is this month's, so obviously you can go check it out. This is the first project for November, because it's your birthday, because you know what? November is my birthday. So it was kind of an ode to myself because it's your birthday. So this is our first project for November. My card club is online. Everything comes to you. Some of the stuff I'm using today we'll discuss, but this is what you get in card club. You'll get a half a pack of the Brushed with Beauty paper, a full packet of the Pearls of Beauty, and then a packet of the espresso and olive twine, and then the stuff to make your projects. And here's the paper. I'm using it on today's card, so when you're in my card club, you have the opportunity, if you'd like, to purchase add-ons. You can purchase the set, which is obviously I think it's Petals of Beauty that goes with the suite. This month there's 2 sets. You can also get the Words of Beauty, Joy of Beauty. It's the one that has the Because It's Your Birthday in it. Isn't this paper glorious? So pretty. And I'm using this piece on today's card. But then a lot of months I do extras. So for the people who purchase the extras, there's a couple of benefits. One, I tend to only do several when there's new product, which this month there's new product. So that is one reason. But then there's a bonus bundle, which this month is the pop-up petals. And the club members that add this on will get the supplies to make an extra project. The project that I'm making today is not the project. Over the course of the next couple of weeks, I will try to use all of the things that you can buy. This is one. And then another thing that you can also add on this month is the folder. And you can also add on this lasting linen background stamp, which I'm also using today. Then there is a way, if you add on certain things in a group bundle, because it's easier for me in club, then you're going to get the free earthy matte dots. So let's get going on today's card. It's super clever. The dies that come with the pop-up petals, as you might guess, they pop up. So how do I want to do this? We'll do our stamping first, and then we'll die cut, because I have to stamp these to be able to die cut them. So you're probably wondering what these are. So, you know, when you do card club and you do 2 of projects and you have 70 people, that's 140 pieces. So when we used Encircled with Beauty, my husband could not throw out these pieces, which I like that, especially then after that, the price of cardstock went up. But I have had, I don't know, 180 of these circles sitting in my office for a very long time. So I have decided I am going to use them up. It's perfectly fine paper in the middle, right? So there's no point of not using it. So this set comes with a couple of different vases, die cuts for the vases. I don't see, it's right here, the first one I moved. So I'm going to use crumb cake, and I am going to stamp. There is one stamping piece we will have to come back to at the end. I'm going to stamp just a vase in the middle of this. When you're stamping with photopolymer, I don't know if you saw that, it looked kind of bubbly. And then as I pressed it down, it all smushed together, the ink under there. It's partly because these stamps are new and I haven't washed them. I just stamped with them a second ago and then did this. But just make sure, because you can see it, make sure all the ink has transferred from your stamp to your paper, because you're able to see that. And then let's do our linen stamp. So this is just standard size vanilla cut in half. I'm going to fold it in half. A couple of little tricks for this. So I have taken my stamp. I'm going to ink it. The inside of the card we're going to have to stamp at the end because I do need to die cut it. There isn't like a direct order to do this card, but we'll do the front, and then the stuff we need to stamp on the inside we can come back to at the end. But make sure you watch that, because I show you a good way to stamp the little pop-up box without getting the rest of it dirty. So I've just folded this in half. I've inked this up. I'm going to lay it on here because this one it's just pattern. It doesn't matter which side, which direction. And then don't let it move, because that'll make it be shadowy. This is why you want scrap paper, so you don't get it all over your hands. Just press. You can use a brayer. When I use a brayer, it tends to shift a little bit. It's not my favorite. Isn't that fun? I tried it a couple of different ways, just on little scraps of paper, and I ended up liking the vanilla the best, partly because it went the best with the background paper, the designer series paper that I'm using, but the options for this are endless. So we have that, and then before I put it up, we'll come back to it, because this is going to be on the inside on our little basket. And then we need some flowers. So we need flowers for the outside to go in our little pot. Oh, this is a template card. So if you go to my website, I will have the template from the catalog that we're following. And then I will have 3 other template cards once I stamp my girlfriends, because we're doing this for a shoebox swap. So they're going to get this paper too. It'll use it up a little bit faster. But the whole layout of this card is designed from that template. So that. And then on the inside, this is not this card. I'm going to put 2 little flowers. I was trying to get a lot done yesterday. And so as I was doing it, I couldn't quite figure out how to get the most number of flowers in the pop-up thing on the inside. But I just said that this is a swap card. We also don't like to make things too time intensive when we're swapping. And then I'm going to do You Get Me, and I appreciate that. Let's see if we can fit it on here. Oh, look at that. Amazing what the center of a circle you can still fit on it. And there's no need in wasting paper, right? So that's our stamping for now. We'll come back and do a little bit more in a minute, but we need to color these in so they're beautiful. So I'm going to start. We'll start with the crumb cake since it's open. I'm going to use my ink pad and my Wink of Stella. And I'm just going to get the centers of these. I'm going to start every time over where the dots are. And as it comes off, then it'll just lighten up. I'm going to switch this one more time. So if you haven't done this, you just push. It takes a little bit of arm strength, but if you push it, then you can grab the ink there on the lid. You can also just put a drop or two of refill in there. Some cat hair. So this is Darling Duckling, and I'm going to just simply brush one over each of these tips. Then I'm going to come over to the flowers that will be in the inside basket. And I'm just going to kind of go through the middle, which I think is opposite maybe than the ones I did yesterday. I can't remember for sure. That's it for our yellow, which is Darling Duckling. And then I'm going to do Calypso Coral. And I don't need a ton of it. Let's start with this one and do it. Just blend it in down towards the yellow. And then that little bit right here. And then over on these, just not every one, but some, I'm going to give them a little brush of highlight. Now I'm going to use Lost Lagoon for my leaves, which is, it is more of a blue than a green, but I really like the way it kind of gives that 80s homey feel, which, you know, if you don't know, the geese and all that are making a comeback, which I won't be buying geese. I don't think I bought any the first time. I had a couple of little things that had geese on it. I did most certainly not have a large goose. But those colors and that design, because everything old is new again, right? If you go to Rifle Paper Company, I love their stuff. They have a line that's cross-stitchy and goosey. So all the colors. And I think the Lost Lagoon is a nice way to kind of subdue the green. Okay, those are all done. So let's take a look at the dies that we're going to use. We are going to have dies that cut out the flowers and the vase. So that is standard. Go ahead and pop these in half. I'm going to trim this off because I can fit more on my machine if I do that. So I got that. This isn't going to be hand trimmed. And then I have two of the arches because the arches are fabulous, right? So I have the larger one I'm going to do in black just to give it a nice little border. And then here is the one. I really wanted to use this side of the paper. And so that's another way that I have the Lost Lagoon. And doesn't that look a little bit like the 80s? It probably needs a little bit. It has the dusty green and the dusty rose. It needs a little bit of the dusty burgundy or the dusty, and I guess that's kind of the forest. We called it forest green back then, right? But what happened when I used the template, when I put stuff here, then it was covering up everything. And so this side was equally as cute. I really wanted to use the lines. I'm not gonna lie, that would have been my preference. But the card that I used, this one here, I would have loved those lines. But because this for club is using a half a sheet practically of cardstock, I didn't want to use it to get a little one off there. So we have those. So then here is another piece of vanilla that I have cut, and it is, you have to cut it smaller. And I really wish that I'd had a color of two-tone cardstock that would fit, that would have worked, because I think it would, the texture of it and the thickness of your overall card would be a little nicer, but I didn't have any. All of the colors of two-tone cardstock I have right now, I did not have enough for the swap. Remember I said I'm making these for a swap. So this is 7.5. Maybe by 3 3/4. No, by 4 3/4. Because it needs to go inside the other card and it's gonna form your pop-up. So then just whatever size you cut it, it just needs to be smaller than the inside. And I made it a little like more smaller. Is that a word? It's 2 words. So it didn't add as much bulk to it. So you're gonna fold that in half. And then for this one, you are going to use, there's 2 different pop-ups. And then there's also a lip for the box, which I didn't put on. Again, card swap. And we're working on our Advent class. If you haven't signed up to take our, or get our PDFs for the Advent 12 days of crafting, you need to sign up. So there are these 2 little diamonds. See those little arrows? And they're going to go on the line. And you can do it however high up or down, not too up, because we're going to put flowers in here, remember? So just kind of like a third of the way at the bottom. And when those line up, then it's going to form your pop-up. I thought about putting these things through the new folder. But remember, I said we're working on our Advent projects tomorrow. So I didn't want to put too many steps on the one card in my swap. So we have these. Here's how this went through. And my plates are dirty because I need to swap them out. So when you fold this in half, it's exactly the same, right? But when you pop this open, then this makes a pop-up. So you could pop up all kinds of stuff. You could put a birthday cake. For this particular set, it makes it so you can put flowers in the basket. I'll grab my bone folder. And you need to do both sides of this. This is the inside, so you're not going to see this part. And then it will look like this. Now let's go back and do a couple more stamping things. So I'm going to grab my background again. I don't need to ink the whole thing this time. Just do this part down here. And then I just want this. I want the rest of it to stay vanilla, and I tried several different ways. It was very hard to get a background stamp. It would probably work better with smaller stamps, but I wanted it to match the front. So remember I said I tested on other colors. So here's one that I tested, and I just trimmed that out. It would also be better with maybe some copy paper or typing paper because this is thicker. But I just put this on here very carefully. And then I just pressed it right where I could see the square. It's not going to be your best stamping because it is gonna not get all the way down in there. Although I think if you use a paper this thickness, it would work better. But I already had a template, right? And I didn't want to waste cardstock. So that looks awful, but then when you put this up, you have that. This also happened on my other one. I'm not quite sure where the ink's coming from, maybe my hands, but we're gonna fix that. And you're gonna take this, and let's just pop this on here where I can see that there's ink. And then we have a little bit of a pattern on that. The template has little circles here and here and a couple here. So to stand in for those, there are some circles, of course, in the last one. So you'll see there, it looks like, oh, those are a nice accent piece. They're actually the fill-ins for this. So it's a two-step. And then there are also some solid flowers, and you're like, oh, there's 2 different kinds of flowers, which can be 2 different kinds of flowers, or it can also be the fill-in for that. So I'm gonna take my crumb cake. This time I'm gonna put, I'd already glued my card together when I tried this the last time. I am going to put 5 of these here. And then I'm just gonna try to get 3 at the top. Oops. And on my template, they're over here. And then this on the inside, I'm gonna clean this off. Go ahead and tape it together. I'm putting the other side off too, otherwise I'm going to end up with black ink on my hands. So to tape it together, all you do is you're going to shut it like this. You're going to grab your full card, put it here in the middle so the fold is directly where you need it to be. Grab your seal or glue. Glue would work for this. You'll just have to be careful when you do the flip side. Have that. Push that down. So now you have this, and then we're going to flip it over here. Put some adhesive on this one. And close it and press. And now when you open it, you have your fun pop-up. And on the other one, I don't remember, the ink wasn't there, it was somewhere. So instead of the crumb cake, I didn't want it to be too crumb cakey. I went back to my Lost Lagoon, grabbed those same circles, which is why I cleaned them off. And this time I did a lot more of them because they're just fun. And we're going to aim right there. Now it'll just look like it's part of the background. And then just a couple down here. You have to try to push hard when you're going over the two bits of the paper. So there's that. Now we just have to mount all this together. I'm just going to take my snips and trim this out. All right, so let's put our arches on. So the template has like a tag here. So I went with an arch because the templates are kind of more for spacing. I mean, you can always do exactly what it shows. But sometimes I want to use a particular shape, or I just feel like that would go. And I think the arches with the flowers are a nice match. And these will be with dimensionals. I debated whether or not to put the flowers on dimensionals or whether or not to have them be kind of sunk in the vase. I still don't know. I think I'm going to put them on dimensionals because they're just fun. And our little sentiment, which I put where I put it because it is part of the template. The only thing that I'm really missing is there is a circle here, and I just used one of my embellishments for that circle. Pop that there. And then you're probably like, what are those for? We're going to get to them. This was flat. And then open your card up, and these go inside the box. So remember I said that there is a die that if we had more time, I probably would have added, that makes like the little lip of the box as it flips over. But I didn't feel like it was a must do. And since we're gonna move on to your advent projects tomorrow, I didn't want to have one more step if it wasn't necessary. You already had coloring and some different kind of cutting that we're not necessarily used to. So you put them in like that, and then I just put it here and pressed to make sure that they were held in well. Isn't that a fun little thing? Now, in this sample, I saw that Stampin' Up! Had a whole bunch of flowers inside theirs. So originally I had stamped this 3 times, and I thought that I could put one there. They don't fit. So I colored them, got them out, and then I tried to put them in there, and then I cut one of them apart thinking if I cut it, it didn't look good. So don't try that. Then these are the embellishments that you're getting in Card Club this month. So you can get the linen set, you can get the pop-up as your bonus, and if you get the pop-up petals, then you do get the bonus project. I also don't like where I have my embellishments on my other card. So let's see. I'm gonna add a couple of small ones that just kind of fit. It made it be a little bit more than what was on the template. So I put them on top before, but that was they look funny on top. Don't do them. And then we'll do a big one and a little one. And remember I said that there's one dot over here. So I'm just gonna this time go to orange. Last time I did white and you can't even see it. And on the other card, it's on the template, it's there. But you don't have to do exactly what the template does because I did that and I don't like it. But this little pop-up, you could put a birthday present, you could put balloons, you can put a frog, whatever stamp you have, as long as it's small enough. And there's 2 sizes. I don't remember if this is the smallest or the largest. I was unsure why they gave you 2 of them. And then as I used one and went back to get it, I was like, oh, there are 2 sizes. I don't know which one I used. And then here's the other one. So see, I put more of these, but they get lost. I don't have any up here. I mean, it's okay. I don't hate it now. So, you know, sometimes when you make it and you first look at it, you're like, yeah, that was bad. But I left them on because I was afraid to pull them off. But now they're not as bad as I thought. I think one fell off because there's an even number and I don't do even numbers. And here's the inside. And here's where I got the smudgy on the inside of my other one. Not quite sure what happened. But super fun. So if you're interested in my card club, there will be a link down below this video that you can go. It's online. Everything comes in the mail. You do have to have a U.S. address for it to be sent to. You have to subscribe by the 10th and do any of your add-ons by the 10th. But I'll have some more stuff coming your way. Have a great one. Bye.